talk about the VOD and the silver screen. Kevin and Tom and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, usually. It's Real Spoilers, episode 735?
4.
That's what I said.
3.
He'll fix it in editing. I'm
Two.
sure.
Yeah, right. He'll edit
1.
this out.
Just we have AI now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
I see what you did there. I'll allow it.
Yeah. Don't bleep that one. Gotta let
Can we
that
just
one
do
through.
Can we just do 60 seconds of suck and then just tell stories of old?
I don't think this one deserves 16 seconds to suck, but it is.
Oh, it doesn't even deserve. I tend to agree. Maybe it doesn't.
Oh, man.
All right.
Quick shameless plugs before we begin. Oh, wait, we got to introduce ourselves. Let's go around the virtual table because one of us is not in the country this week.
It's not me. I'm in the country. This is Joe.
It's
Well,
not
you're
me.
not allowed to leave.
I'm in the country. Oh, geez, you ruined the whole thing. It's not me. I'm in the country. It's Kevin.
And it's Tom. I'm not in the country.
Tom's the only one that can afford to leave the country.
Yeah, right. The rest of us are like, I guess I'll go to somewhere in Missouri for vacation.
Hey, dip into the clip out fund and let's get to the Bahamas.
I did that
We're in
last year.
We're in St. Martin, actually.
Oh, okay. This week.
This week.
Yeah, you jet setter.
Yes, very much so. It's weird because like half the island is Dutch and half the island is French.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so when I landed, my phone was like, "Welcome to the Netherlands," because I'm on Netherland soil.
Is that right?
So, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's kind of like how if you go to the Virgin Islands, you're still technically
I guess that's true.
in U.S. soil, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
Or Puerto Rico, something like that. But, okay, so we've done that. Now let's do shameless plugs. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's always helpful. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. The group is titled the League of Show Sharers because we're hoping you'll share an episode. People who were kind enough to share an episode last week include Chris Falls, Ralph Tribble, Julianne Jordan, Phil Timon, Travis Tewitt, Gabriel Lugo, Tammy Lynn Powers Betts, Chris Magic Man, Christopher Rex, Josh Rosen, Heather Sachs, James Install, David Rojas, Invasion of the Remake, Batman Rye Guy, Dissect That Film, Spoiler Piece Theater, Ryan Terry from the Forza Crowd podcast, Jason Weesey, Mike and Oscar, Matt Naglia, Vertigay 314, Binge Movies, Nostalgia Cast, Ronnie Castle, In Session Film, Feelin' Film, and Geek to Me Radio. So
We have a
very
review.
much.
We have a new review.
Oh.
Holy cow.
I do.
News your review coming right at you.
That's
Let's
right.
hear it.
This is from it's Joe Miller 123. 5-star reviews, constantly entertaining and hilarious. It is rare that I can quote a whole podcast intro word for word every episode, but here we are. Real Spoilers keeps me entertained for 30 hours a week at my cleaning job, and I still got a bunch of episodes to go. As a horror fan, I will just re-listen to their horror movie episodes because I love hearing their funny commentary on some of my favorite movies/franchises.
Boy, do we have a Patreon for you.
Wait, yeah, right.
Yeah,
no joke.
kidding.
Speaking of, Halloween Ends sucks. Sorry, Joe.
Yes. This guy's okay.
I know, he's all right.
He's our new favorite listener.
That's right. Anywho, you guys rock and keep them coming. So thanks, Joe Miller 123. That's super
Thank
cool.
you.
Yes.
Say hi to
Thank
Joe
you
Miller 1 through 122 for us.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and thank you for ruining our Joe's self-esteem.
I'm used to it at this point.
So, also we have, speaking of Patreon, we have a Patreon that you can join for $5 a month. You get all sorts of bonus content, and we like you extra. And finally, don't forget, you can watch all of these episodes on YouTube. So.
And it's been picking up some steam lately. I'm not saying we're setting the world ablaze, but we have 205 subscribers. So thank you, people that signed up because of our desperate pleas the last couple of weeks. And the episodes are getting a few hundred views per time, where they were like in the 30s and 40s for a while. So it's great.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, there's all that. Let's dig in to Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Fury of the audience.
So it's funny how the DC stuff,
Sucks.
we've talked about it, right? Like, there have been flashes, no pun intended, of like, okay, now we're moving in the right direction, right?
And Shazam was a bright spot among...
The first Shazam was absolutely a bright spot
Yes.
among the darkness of the DCU.
Right. Note how
It's
I said Shazam. Just Shazam.
Yeah.
It's probably my second favorite DC.
Oh, what's your
movie.
first one?
Wonder Woman. I think it goes Wonder Woman,
sure,
Shazam.
sure. Yeah, I think that's fair. And this is the same creative team. There's no... This is kind of a Wonder Woman 2 situation where...
That's a good point, where you're like, what happened?
And I hear what you're saying, Kevin, and I don't totally disagree. I wasn't mad watching this movie, but it feels like... This movie feels like it was a Freddie Freeman movie, and I was okay with that, because I'm like, if we're going to reboot the DCU, right, that's all getting rebooted, we can move on from Zach Levi.
Oh, geez.
And we can make
Clearly, we're not.
We thought we were going to.
I thought, honestly, this is one of those moments where at the end of this movie,
I thought
was
they
like,
were going to do it.
They're going to
Just
do it.
it.
Like, they're going to give Freddie Freeman the go. The kid from was he Richie from It?
He was Eddie.
He was Eddie. That's right. Richie was Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah. Where they're going to move on. We're going to reboot this thing.
I thought since it didn't matter, they were going to have the balls to do it.
Right.
I thought they were, because I'm like, they are taking some big swings here, because they double down. Like, when they do the fake out in movies, normally they do the fake out and a minute later it's undone. This one hangs
There's a
on
good
it for a
stretch.
good 5 to 10 minutes, where you're just like, oh,
it's like a Toy Story 3 hanging on it.
yeah, it really did. And you know what? And as much as I didn't like the movie, I was going to be like, well, kudos to them for actually doing it. And
I totally
the
agree.
sacrifice meant something, and he was a hero. Like, when you undermine, I mean, I know it's the thought that counts, but when you undermine such a sacrifice like that, it just reminds you that, like, well, nothing matters. They can do anything they want. And I don't want to see our heroes killed, but I think I was ready at this point after seeing this movie. I'm like, all right, this Shazam can go.
I'd be okay if he got killed. I'd be even more okay if I was the one who got to do it.
What happened?
Here's what happened.
Please.
Here's my theory on what happened.
All right.
Zachary Levi only read the pages of the script that he was on. Because the biggest problem with this movie, yes, the storyline is uninspired, but like the biggest problem with this movie is him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
His
real bad.
performance
He's
is
horrible in it.
horrible. And the problem is all the Billy Bastion stuff is like, I'm about to age out of the foster care system, which means I'm practically 18 years old.
Right.
And then he becomes Shazam, and he talks like he
talked in the first one
with a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm like, that's not how an 18-year-old would talk. Like, this kid isn't 13 anymore. And so, and that's the other problem a franchise like this is going to have as a live-action vehicle, is that unless you're prepared to keep recasting Billy Bastion and being just like, that's just the way it's got to be, like, when that kid gets older, it's dumb. Like, it's why, if he's 18, 19 years old and he turns into Shazam, he shouldn't look like a different guy anymore.
Yeah, right. He should still have, and that's what I think. I think the Freddie Freeman, that's what I mean, is like the Freddie Freeman character feels like he has grown up. Right? Like he is still kind of the same, like, rambunctious, into the superhero stuff kid that we see in the first one, but there is a level of maturity that he has as we see him here.
When he uses his powers, like the personality shift makes sense, right? Now that he's got the confidence that he doesn't have as a teenager with a disability. With all due respect to people with disabilities, you can still have confidence. I totally get that, but this is the story they're telling. And so, like, that character, when it flips to the Shazamified version, like, makes sense. Where when our core Shazam flips, and you get Zachary Levi, it doesn't make any sense. His performance makes no sense. And what's even more frustrating, like, I get the first one was great. Zachary Levi's a name. I get from a business standpoint them wanting to keep him around and try to retcon this. But when you see that post-credit sequence that's doing that, like, he's tripled down on this. My interpretation of this character is as a 10-year-old.
Right.
And I know that last part is so horrible, and he doesn't act like that the rest of the movie. Like, it's so jarring.
He does.
Yeah, I think he does. I think
he's
absolutely playing the same character.
That bad. I don't think the character from the last scene and the one from the post credits acts the same. And like, I know he acts goofy throughout it, but it was a jarring shift from like how much he went all in, where I thought he was kind of lazy throughout the rest of the film. So like, it just tonally to me seemed like different performances.
I feel like maybe they were trying to edit around some of that performance.
Oh, maybe
because like in the bulk of the film, right? That they in a way that they couldn't in that post credit sequence. Mm-hmm. Plus, that post credit sequence is really trying to like bring the funny and it's not. And
nope.
There was not one laugh in my theater the entire movie. I am not kidding. It wasn't full, but I mean.
I'll give you another stat in my theater in just a second that I thought was very telling. But but I think they were really leaning into that fast talking, I'm awkward thing in a way that you just kind of saw in brief flashes throughout the film itself.
Yeah.
And what's really frustrating is I would bet dollars to donuts that post credit sequence, just by the tone of it, was written entirely by James Gunn.
Oh, like, I think it absolutely was written by James Gunn.
I mean, I haven't seen anything that says that, but just as soon as they started talking, I was like, this is James Gunn talking
when Harcourt and the other, it's Harcourt from Peacemaker and Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Steve Agee. Who does he play?
Yeah. It's the two main characters from Peace, with the exception of John Cena.
Harcourt and McCormick.
Yeah, when they're walking down the road talking, and you're just like, oh, this is Peacemaker. Like, this is like a deleted scene from Peacemaker, is what this was.
John Economos.
Is that really his name?
Mm-hmm.
In Peacemaker?
Yeah, John Economos is his character.
Okay, but as soon as they started talking, like, I was just like, James Gunn wrote this, and so at first I was encouraged. I was like, oh, cool, I tweeted.
They were good, right? Like, those two were good in that scene.
For sure, yeah.
And then you get to Doofus,
and it's bad.
It's horrible.
And I tweeted out about Shazam, and I said, MCU cameos and post-credit sequences are there to set up what's coming next.
Right.
DC cameos and post-credit sequences are there to show you who still has a job.
It's so crazy, though, because, I was like, okay, at the end of that, so Mary Marvel has become, it probably in the last 10 years, has become one of my favorite characters. Here's the crazy thing, right, is the entire time the two parents don't know that their kids are the Marvel family. That's what I'm calling them that. I don't care. That's who they are. They're the Marvel family.
I loved at the end when the creator or whatever says, "Oh, you're Captain Marvel."
No, that was the kid who played Billy Batson on the TV show.
I love that they did that though. That they had the balls to actually say Captain Marvel in this movie.
You also got the Winnebago from.
Is that what that was?
That's the Winnebago that they drove around the country in the Saturday morning.
Oh, okay.
TV
You also
show,
get the both Annabelle dolls are in this as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the scene when he's talking to the pediatrician, and the dolls are both sitting at a table together.
Why?
So David Sandberg, I think, directed the first Annabelle, or the first two Annabelles, I think.
Oh, real quick, I never gave you my theater anecdote.
Oh, yeah.
Before we move away from that. So I saw a Thursday night preview. There was probably about 40, 45 people in the theater.
Critics or just a mix of people?
No. This is open to the public.
Oh,
Like
got
I
it,
paid
got it,
money,
okay.
like the soft open on Thursday night.
Oh,
So-
hard-earned money for this one.
Yeah. So luckily I bought something from Fandango that triggered an $8 coupon. So
Oh, outstanding.
I used it. So I just thought this was really interesting. So about 45 people in the theater, right? By the time the post-credit scene started, there were 6 people who waited.
Wow.
Yeah, people are out.
And I don't know if there was an end credits scene.
There was.
Okay, because none of us waited for it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I left. I did not stay
there's-
for that.
There's another
Yeah.
one, yeah.
No, could not care.
But
It's
I just
okay.
thought it was really interesting that like how few people stuck around for the post-credit scene.
This is the advantage that I think James Gunn has is Marvel has become such a staple and mainstay in film going, and we know at the end of Marvel stuff. I don't think there's ever been a Marvel movie where there hasn't. The only thing maybe at the end of Captain America, but I think we got the Avengers trailer.
You got the Avengers trailer. You didn't act because everybody stuck around hoping that they were going to get a glimpse of what the Avengers was going to look like, and we got the trailer.
And we got it.
Yeah.
So they have conditioned us to stay, and we're gonna stay.
But we had
no
already
matter
seen
what.
the trailer, so it was a
Oh,
lot.
had we?
Yeah, people were just like, oh, the trailer?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the advantage I think that James Gunn has is there's no goodwill for the DC characters, right? He basically has a clean slate to do whatever he wants, and nobody's going to be, well, some people are going to be, why isn't this like the stuff from before? But he can do whatever he wants, and nobody's going to
Wait,
remember
is
what came before it.
Bullwinkle reviewing films?
I mean, some of the Snyder bros kind of feel that way. But
I'll tell you what, I'm so excited for them to reset it. But with that being said, as little excitement as I had for this movie, I really enjoyed the first one, and I was
the first one's really good.
100% willing to give this movie a chance. I was willing to go in, be entertained, but man, I could not believe how bad this movie is.
Okay, this is what I was saying, is we talk about how the parents don't know their kids are the Marvel family. Totally fair, right? Captain Marvel Jr. doesn't look like the kid. Billy Batson doesn't look like Shazam. But Mary Marvel is the exact same actress.
Is it? Because I was wondering. I couldn't.
It is.
She looks
Okay. It's the same actress.
Well,
so
that one's pretty.
when Mary walks into the bedroom and it's the same woman, and they're like, "Wait a minute, what's going on?" It's
I'm
like,
pretty
well,
sure her hair is curled a different way.
Yeah,
right?
it's
That's
like
how
it's
it-
the same.
She got a blowout, right? Like so.
Well,
that
that's
makes
a
difference.
different. That's a different movie altogether.
Yeah, I don't want to hear Joe complaining that when a character does their hair a little bit different, no one can
I'm not doing
recognize them. Don't.
Put on glasses,
Especially in a DC movie.
Yeah, I know,
That's
right,
what I'm
right.
saying. Exactly.
Put on some glasses, walk with a little bit of a hunch, and nobody will ever know. But yeah, it was just like, you parents are dumb. Like, it's the same woman. It's the exact same
but
person.
Joe, come on. I'm not going to let you stand here and tell me in a DC movie that these people are dumb. If we can say that about them, we have to
Yeah,
be
I mean,
at least Clark puts on glasses.
Oh, okay. I mean, no. I would say those people are dumb, Joe. You can't.
She's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, Kevin. She's not dumb.
I know, which is why it should be very easy to figure out.
But she does say tinkle.
She does say tinkle. But
But but in the defense of the movie, like, because there's a lot you can bag on this movie.
Sure.
But that's just kind of a trope of superhero stories, right? Of like they have a secret identity and you
just accept it.
A rational, normal human being at some point is going to be like, "Hey, wait a minute."
I mean, Joe, they all work.
Yeah.
They work in the Daily Planet next to Clark. You seriously can't say like those parents are any more dumb than the people that work there. It's the exact same situation.
Clark is better at hiding his identity.
Okay.
Rather than I don't know, anybody else.
All right.
But yeah, it's James Gunn it feels like he was trying, I don't know, if he was trying to, or because this is produced by Peter Safran, who is also like the co-guy at DC now. But there's been no announcement of and I just wonder if parts of this was, because we see the Justice Society and Black Adam, like they show up, and now where they're referenced again here.
Well, I think they're changing the end of all these movies, right? So they did a lot of reshoots for The Flash. I'm sure this was a tagged on thing. Like, so now Safran and Gunn are coming in and they're tagging on their part to set up. I mean, they're being smart about it. They're doing the Nick Fury thing, right? They're setting up what's going to happen. So this was, I don't know what the original was supposed to be, but this is clearly them setting up for their plan.
Yeah.
I had totally forgotten that we saw the Justice Society in Black Adam.
Well, we saw a version of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also,
I'm just saying, like, I totally forgotten it had even been mentioned. Like, until you just said it. I, like, walked out going, like, oh, they're going to do the Justice Society.
Right.
Like, forgetting that the last movie I saw was entirely about the Justice Society.
That's
pretty good.
And Joe, you got to remember, so like Safran's a producer on this, but the reason why he got the co-CEO of DC Studios job is because he was already a producer on these other DC movies. So
is that right?
He was a producer on Shazam 1.
Oh, okay.
So he was a producer on Aquaman.
Was he a James Wan guy though?
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did do James Wan stuff. He was a producer on Aquaman, producer on the Suicide Squad.
Which that Aquaman movie is just getting hammered.
He was a producer. If you go back,
I'm sorry, Joe. It's getting tritoned.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. Tridented.
He's a producer on The Conjuring, Annabelle, The Conjuring 2, The Belko Experiment. So there's his James Gunn
connection.
There it is.
Yeah. So anyway, so he's been around for a while, and that's, you know, it's not like he's on this one just because of the other stuff.
No.
But,
Sure. Yes.
But that's why they're shaping it. So, I mean, to their credit, I mean, it's nice to see them building up the plan and planting those seeds like Marvel was doing. But I don't know, when it comes on the heel of a movie this bad, which they obviously didn't want it to be, but, you know, I mean, the setup isn't that exciting because you're like, oh, I've never not wanted more of a character before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Setup.
I will say, this is like in all these superhero movies, I've always felt, even the bad ones, the casting has been on point.
Sure.
Right? Like I didn't like Black Adam, but I didn't blame The Rock. I blame a very bland story. Right?
Yeah. And also, the Rock fits that role perfectly.
Absolutely, he does.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that I really feel like Zachary Levi shouldn't be this character anymore.
No.
Like he was great in the first one. This was bad, and I just feel like nobody had the balls to be like, dude, have you read the other pages of this film?
But also, have you read
what you should be doing?
Have you read anything with Shazam in it?
Probably
because
not.
He doesn't, like, the character, for the most part, does not act this. He acts the best interpretation of this character that I've ever seen. There's a DC was doing like showcase shorts. So they would do their animated film and then they would have like a little 15-minute, 20-minute cartoon at the beginning of that featuring a different character that probably couldn't maintain an hour and a half movie, right? Okay. So you'd get a Catwoman one, you'd get a Green Arrow one, you'd get like a Spectre or Jonah Hex. They did a Superman Shazam one that had George Newbern, who was the voice of Superman throughout all of the Ds with the exception of Tim Daly, and they had Jerry O'Connell do the voice of Shazam. And he nails it. He nails the tone of like the kid as this adult who knows what he's doing, but also he's still a kid. You know, he's fighting alongside Superman, so there's like a little bit of like, you know, starstruckness, and he nails the tone. Where this one is like it's so completely different. And
I just want to know what happened to Zachary Levi because he was so good in the first one. But like Tom said, I watched this one and I'm like, cast someone else. He's horrible in this role now.
He overdosed on ivermectin.
I just don't know. But he seems like a different person in this movie.
He does. Especially because it's like, with this being a sequel, then Shazam should be better at being Shazam, not worse.
I even think that the kid that plays Billy has more of a character turn than Shazam, right? The kid that plays Billy,
which makes Zachary Levi's performance all the more jarring.
Yes.
Because, which is why I keep going back to, did he read the other stuff? Because what's going on when we get Billy Bastion is nothing like what Shazam is showing us.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. By the end of the movie, just to skip aside from the plot, when he's like, I'm going to make this sacrifice and I'm grown up now and you'll always be our family and you're not going to age out. All this stuff happens. And then you get to the post-credit scene and he's acting a fool. And it's like, those two aren't the same. people. It's not the same.
But also, it's crazy because I feel like they do set up Freddy to be the new Captain Marvel, right?
Freddy
like
is way more interesting in this movie than Billy Batson.
But he's doing things like he's able to fight off Calypso when nobody else could. Like when Calypso kind of puts the hex on him to get him to say the names of the Marvel family.
Yeah, and his human
fighting
form.
And he won't do it.
That was interesting, right?
And then when he gets to the dragon, this
Yeah.
dragon, is supposed to paralyze you with fear. He's fighting his way. He's not stopping. He doesn't quit. He gets to the girl, and it's like, okay, they're definitely setting him up to be the new champion.
Which was why it seemed like, okay, well, maybe Zachary Levi's uninterested. He's on his way out. And so that's what's so weird. You know what? I wonder if maybe he was kind of on his way out, and then James Gunn said, oh, no, we can use you as connective tissue. And so I wonder if Zachary Levi was playing this as though he was kind of the side character in his own movie. And then...
Well, he kind of was.
But then the ending changed, and now it's so jarring because it's like, oh, no, wait a minute. This was like a movie to set up bye-bye, and then...
Because the character is different at the end of this movie, right? Like, he's earnest, and he is kind, and he's brave, and he has that... I think the speech at the end with the mom is really good. I think...
Billy Batson, right?
Well, yeah, Billy Batson, but then at the end with Freddy, where they're both talking through the bubble... I think that was really good, and then I think his performance in the final fight is good. Like, that feels like, okay, this is the captain, this is the Shazam that I've always known. And then and then he dies, and I was like, okay, fine. I think this is fair. And then the random ass, we're just going to spoil it now, the tease that it was Gal Gadot in a dream, and then we get her here as Wonder Woman.
That was bad.
That felt so
was
tacky. Was that supposed to be a cool reveal? Because, man, that was cheesy.
I mean, obviously, yes, it was supposed to be a cool reveal.
But it was so blatantly obvious she was not anywhere near the rest of that cast physically.
Not at all.
I mean, like, normally to see shots that bad, you have to see, like, the twin sister on Bewitched, right? Like, it's like I'm like not since the Patty Duke show has cinema showed us such great footage. It was just so bad.
I think what they should have done is played into the cameo at the end of the first one, right? It's Superman standing there, but we know it's not Henry Cavill. You don't see his head. So just keep playing into that, right?
Yeah,
and
but on the flip side, Joe, this was cool because they did the head fake. You're expecting it's not going to be her again, and they get her. But if it were done well, it would have been cool. But it's a shame they wasted. Like, this feels so tacked on. Like, oh, well, you know what I bet it was? We have to pay you for Wonder Woman 3, and it's not happening. Seriously, come do this cameo. I bet they had her signed on for one more. They had to pay her. And
one
they said,
more
well,
appearance.
Let's put her in this then and we're paying her for it. So,
yeah.
But if you're paying her off like to do a Wonder Woman 3, you're going to use her for more than 2 minutes, and you're going to make her show up to the set with the rest of the cast.
Yeah, I know schedules are different or whatever. I'm just saying, I don't think that normally she would just do a little cameo like this, and I have a feeling it has something to do with either a make good, like, hey, we canceled your thing, we'll pay you to come do this other thing. I do feel like it's a very last minute afterthought of, let's not never see Wonder Woman again. Let's give her one more.
See, I felt like it was James Gunn's way of saying Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot is still part of.
I thought the same
this
thing.
Franchise moving forward. I thought that's the only reason that scene exists is because he's establishing, hey, you're still going to have core characters. You're still going to have Zachary Levi as Shazam. You're still going to have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. You're still, we're still going to get one more movie of Affleck as Batman. Yeah, I got a plan in place that's going to keep the key people that you like, but give you new, better stories. But I will also say, based on these scenes that are clearly from the new regime, I'm not so sure we're going to get new, better stories, which I would not have said before seeing this movie, because I think James Gunn is a great choice, and I'm worried now.
This is not a full I mean, these are
True.
afterthoughts, and I do think that we've got to wait and see what a full script and a full movie looks like. I think this is them. Seriously, you got to work with Gal Gadot's schedule. You got to work around all these things and say, hey, we're changing things. We have to get this in. This movie comes out in a month or whatever.
Right.
So, like, they're under the gun. No pun intended. So, yeah, I'm definitely in the wait and see camp for that. But, yeah, this is not good, and it's a shame. But we should talk about a little bit of the plot about, like, what they're trying to even do in this thing.
Yeah, so we're introduced very early on to Lucy Liu and, oh, man, my
Helen Mirren.
Thank you very much. Helen Mirren as the daughters of Atlas, and which is fine, right? Like, this world should live in the Greek gods and all of that good stuff, where they were banished to their realm because a bunch of wizards said, you're too powerful, so we're taking your powers away, and we're going to give it to a champion. I will say real quick, it is interesting that Shazam's costume at the end of this is very reminiscent of Black Adam's. It's charred and black, and it's all black, although, for the most part, it's black all the way down. Thought that was kind of interesting. Also, this movie cost $100 million less than Black Adam to make.
Oh, well... Didn't have to pay The Rock.
That's also. Oh, good call. That's a great point. And I think this movie looks better than Black Adam.
Yeah.
There was some really that bridge scene at the beginning.
Oh, I don't think it was that bad.
The budget makes sense because that hurt Lucy Liu riding the dragon. Was that not the most horrible?
That was pretty bad.
That was really bad.
That's real bad. I thought the bridge scene was fine.
Oh, some of those flying shots.
Sure. Okay.
That was bad. And it's not like making a character fly is a new idea. Right. Like, we've been doing it for 50 years now.
1978.
And back then you believed it.
That's true.
Yes.
That's fair.
So get it together.
That's totally fair. So they break into this museum and they're stealing. They want the staff, the wizard staff.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Oh.
Well, he looks like a pimp at the end of this one.
Was that the after credits scene?
No, yeah, he was. Yeah, I do like that. Digimon Hanzo was like, I'm not wearing all that again. Like, can I just have my normal face?
That one's for Brad. Digimon Hanzo.
Yeah, there you go. They steal the staff, and of course, now they're gonna go back to their realm and try to plant the seed of life and bring back the magic to their world. But since Billy broke the staff in part 1, that broke the barrier between this world and our world.
So when he gets the staff at the end, he doesn't break it again. Why?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, if the barrier is already broken, right? If you're not doing any more damage, just break it again.
Yeah. Because they had to have it put back together so it would work. So
right.
And they're using to steal their power. So as soon as you get the thing, just snap it in two.
That was the other thing I thought. I was like, oh, we're going to take away these kids' powers and we're going to take them off the board. That's what we're doing. Like,
I was surprised when they gave them back. Because they were depowering one by one. I thought, okay, that's the end. And at the end, they're like, who wants their powers back?
And I thought at the end, the other kids are going to be like, no, thank you. But Mary and Mary and Freddie would be like,
keep a few.
I'll do it. Because that's the Marvel family, right? Like, it's Mary, Billy, and Freddie. Like, they're the three.
Let me ask you, so when the powers get split between the family, does each one of them only get one of the powers?
So in the comic books, that's the way that I believe that it was. I will say, I think Jeff Johns at one point was one of the best writers in comics. That dude could do no wrong. He was writing the JSA that was really good, Green Lantern that was the Flash. Everything you know about the Flash is from Mark Waid and Jeff Johns at this point. This sorry, Kevin, has figured out a way to weave every single one of his stories into the movies. Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole Marvel family of the 5 of them, that's a Jeff Johns thing. That's a Jeff Johns idea.
Is it New 52?
It is New 52.
Yeah.
And when we get to the Flash, in the Flash movie, the look of Kara, or it's Kara. It's not Kara. It's Kara.
Okay.
Is the Flashpoint Superman. Right? They find Superman in a dungeon away from nuclear or from solar energy, and he's all wasted away and he's tiny. That's exactly what we get we see it in the trailer. Sorry, Kevin. We see that in the trailer of Kara being like depowered and locked away from the sun. So
You know
And
what? I kind of caught the trailer before this movie. I was, of course, they're showing it before this one, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but there were moments, and I don't know, when Batman came on screen, I'm like, I'm watching this. I don't care. It's Keaton as Batman. I'm like, I'm here.
But that whole movie is Flashpoint.
Right.
That whole thing is Flashpoint. So I do kind of take a little bit of umbrage with Jeff Johns weasel, and he's an executive producer on everything. I think up until the gun stuff. I think when the gun stuff starts, he's no longer. He might be.
Depends how much they pull in from his stuff, because they got to give him those credits. If
but
he
is on everything. You can see his fingerprints everywhere, and I'm fucking sick of it.
Well, let me ask you this. So when Shazam gives him the powers, and each one of them is supposed to have a power from one of the different gods, does Shazam lose those powers and he only has one, or does Shazam always keep all of them?
I think he keeps all of them,
but somehow they get.
But the other ones get one of each.
Just
now
curious.
In this movie, though, that's not a thing. They all have power. They all have the same powers.
Yeah, like Captain Every Power. Freddy says.
But then why does he call himself Captain Every Power? Like that's different than everybody else.
Because they all have because in this movie, they haven't lost any powers. Because I think in the comics, at least, the gal who's purple, the young kid,
Darla.
Okay.
Darla,
the MVP of the movie.
Absolutely.
Both versions.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're the only two that know what they're doing.
That's very true.
Their performances make sense.
I agree.
As counterparts.
They're both really good. And I actually interviewed Megan Good after the first Shazam. She's doing a movie with Dennis Quaid where Dennis Quaid's insane and trying to he's like a neighbor that's like stalking them.
That's Randy Quaid.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
No, that's just Dennis Quaid. He's crazy. But anyway, I interviewed her. She was super nice, but I could just tell talking to her, and she was really excited about it, of course, and being in a superhero movie. And I think she's really, really good. I just agree that she knows what she's doing in the movie. She's there, and she gets the kid when she's saving the kittens and all this.
The Taste the Rainbow line did get me.
Oh my God, that was the worst.
Both times.
But as
really?
Was the worst. That was I'm like I don't know. I mean, not since IHOP and Man of Steel have I seen such shameless
totally
product
fair.
placement.
After we just did an episode on Patreon,
we just talked about tropes.
I was going to say when Joe said, I'm like, that is a blatant product placement if there ever was one. But
I think if they had done the one at the end with the Taste the Rainbow mother and then cut it, I was like, that one would have been fine.
Yeah, they shouldn't have prefaced
but they did it twice.
Taste the Rainbow, because in their contract, Skittles said you have to say it twice and we'll give you the money. Right. But anyway, I agree. Megan Good plays Darla as the superhero like she has the personality of the kid. The two feel like the same character, and that's the problem. If you don't read, both actors have to read both lines, because they're not going to know how to play it if they're playing it differently, and that is ultimately one of the issues. Now, Freddy, I think, like you said, was good. I think Freddy felt like
Adam Brody all day.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Brody was playing the character like Freddie Freeman, who did have that confidence, and he knew what the other one was doing. And now, I'm the superhero, and I can get the girl and all this stuff. Jack Dylan Grazer is
he's great.
The kid of Freddie Freeman. He was
really good, and it's funny because he's still, the character of Eddie, is kind of has that kind of same style of fast talk and all that stuff. And I do think that he is able to keep that same character, but also make him feel 18. Mm-hmm. He does. He doesn't have the confidence, but he is. This girl is hitting on him, and he's super flustered. And I do like the fact that he thinks about telling her who he is, because what 18-year-old wouldn't tell the hot girl, by the way, I'm a superhero?
I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah, right.
I mean, his writing for the character and the portrayal felt accurate. It felt like, you're 100% right. If you're a kid and you're trying to get the girl and you're a superhero, hell yeah, there's no way you don't. I mean, it's this kind of the same thing that in the first movie that Shazam was doing, by having the superheroes show up at school and stuff. It's like, when you have that ability and you're a kid that's trying to impress people, that's what you're going to do.
Right. The Sisters of Atlas steal the staff. They have a third sister that has infiltrated. So she doesn't know that Freddy is Captain Marvel Jr., right?
Right.
They just interact anyway.
Yeah.
And Freddy endears himself to her because he is a good kid. He's got a good heart.
And this is Rachel Zegler from West Side Story. I felt so bad because it's like, okay, you're coming off West Side Story, which was amazing. You're going to be in a superhero movie. Oh, yeah, this is my big break.
A Marvel movie? No.
I'm like, I just felt bad because I really like her, and I'm like, oh, this is the one.
I forgot she was in West Side Story. I knew her from somewhere, but I forgot that's what it was.
Yeah.
You blocked it out because it was a musical.
It was a musical. I was like, I don't want to talk about it no more.
But you liked that one, right?
I did.
West
like
Side
that
Story
one.
is
It was
the one
really,
where
it
you
was
like,
insanely well done. Yeah, it visually, technically, it's a crazy movie in a good way.
It is.
Now that the Daughters of Atlas are basically what happens is they get the staff back, they put it back together. Helen Mirren, God love her, just doing everything she can to play this part in give the best performance she can.
I mean, I feel like she's really having fun at this point in her life with these Fast and Furious roles.
Sure.
They do that thing, Joe, where she's in Fast and Furious, and they mentioned Fast and Furious in this movie. So I'm like, what does that mean? Is Helen Mirren in
Helen Mirren has to be in both movies.
So it's just a weird pet peeve of mine. But
I forgot she was in those movies till you just brought that up.
But she's having fun. Yeah, I think isn't Dom firing on her in that movie? I'm pretty sure.
Can you blame him?
No, I know, but I just yeah.
Go watch Caligula and tell me that you don't blame Dom for that.
No, I watched this movie and I'm not blaming him.
Well, in all seriousness, Kevin, you should go watch Caligula.
Okay, so you're right. So
it's just going to be me and Joe for the rest of the episode. Kevin's.
Let's put it this way, Kevin. Penthouse produced that movie.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I mean, I know of it. It's got Clockwork Orange in it.
It does, yeah.
Malcolm McDowell,
yes. Yeah.
So anyway,
Dr. Loomis, yeah.
So you've got Helen Mirren's bad, but only bad because it's they trapped us and took our stuff away, rightfully so. Let me get my powers back that I'm owed. Lucy Liu is bad, let me get my powers back. Now I'm going to kill everybody and destroy everything because I want my revenge. And then you have sweet, younger, only 6,000-year-old sister Rachel Zegler, who's hey, I get it. We got to get our world back, but we're not going to hurt anybody. And you could tell she's not really down with anything that's going to...
I kind of love the line from the mom when Rachel Zegler kisses Freddie. And she's like,
oh, it's great.
This is kind of inappropriate, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
the dad's is like, yeah.
And that other line, I thought, what's with our boys dating older women? I did appreciate that. The other, jumping to almost the very end, but one of the funniest lines that I did kind of have a little chuckle to myself was that, okay, everybody, let's tell them. Where the Shazam? I'm gay.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was good.
I think that would have worked better had they not already telegraphed that
shown
he was
it
gay
in the first scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it would have been a lot better if we didn't know that too. If that was our
do we know
first...
that in the first one? Oh,
I think so.
When they end up in the strip joint and they all come walking out and that kid has a line where he's like, it's just not for me. That's kind of
yeah.
I thought that was a well-timed moment, and then I like when everyone's like, "We know, we know."
Yeah,
that was good.
I guess I'm just gonna go watch some baseball. It's like that. I like that line too.
But there's this through line throughout the movie that basically Billy Batson is about to age out. So once he hits 18, he thinks the family's going to kick him out of the house because they're not receiving.
But they didn't kick Mary out. So why would he think that?
I don't know. She said she got a job. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be because she has a job and she's earning her own keep, but nothing about this family says they're going to kick him out.
I know.
No.
It's a really weird. Yeah.
And there's also this thing about he won't call her mom and but we only get one reference to it, and then it's supposed to be the big emotional moment at the end where he calls her mom, and I'm just this
They didn't really plan that out very well.
It was it just felt very contrived.
There's another scene in this movie where I was like, that okay. It's the same. It's the bedroom scene when the mom and the dad are in the bed. And I was like, are her boobs going to fall out? Because she's barely wearing a top. She's in a night clothes, obviously. But the woman that plays the mom is, as the kids say, stacked. And she's
what kids say?
I don't know. I got to tell you, my kid says, and I was like, that I don't know what that means. All right, whatever. She's bussin'. I don't know. Is that a thing? That's a thing.
Sure. That's a food thing, but I guess that could apply.
Well. Maybe. But yeah, it was just a very weird moment in this kind of family movie where she pops out of bed in a tiny little nightie, basically. And I was like, this is awkward. This is super weird, and whatever.
I guess you had to find something to be interested in this movie.
I mean, I found two things.
Okay, but so
that and Skittles.
That's exactly it.
so yeah, they may as well turn to the camera. You can find these in your local concession stand.
They're actually at the local concession stand right outside.
So Billy's worried that he's
Skittles and Tittles.
Hey, trademark real spoilers. That's
Yes.
that. Well,
Billy's
maybe not
Taste the
spoilers,
rainbow indeed.
Billy's worried he's going to get kicked out of the house is his thing. Freddie wants to use the powers because he feels confident and he likes himself better with the powers. So he's going out there trying to do stuff on his own where the Shazam family thing apparently is all or nothing. So they're not allowed to turn into the heroes unless they're
which
all
I
doing
thought
their thing.
made sense if the powers were all connected.
I guess
But
he
if
just doesn't want.
But if they're
like,
not connected,
and
then
the first one, the big thing, which was a powerful moment, was Shazam was having his ass handed to him, and then the family shows up and they do it together. So he's trying to continue with that. But I agree, it's weird because it's like, well, maybe they're kids and they do have school and obligations. So if something bad's happening, like maybe Shazam needs to go do it, right?
Maybe.
Not fight a villain like the big bad, but like
stop an armored truck robbery or something.
Save a cat from a tree.
Save the kittens, exactly. So I do think that's a little bit of a weak thing with the all or nothing because they all could use their powers to do little things here and there. But also the city has built up this thing where like every time they try to save someone, they like kind of do it, but then also there's mass destruction, right? So they've been dubbed the Philadelphia failures
Fiasco.
or something, whatever. Fiasco.
The follies.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so they're like fighting against that to where they've got like this bad rap, but they're out there trying to do their best.
Well, what must they think of Superman in Philadelphia?
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, same thing.
Well, yeah.
Also, it is kind of stupid that we reference Metropolis, we reference Gotham, we reference Central City, but this movie's in Philadelphia, but the school is called Fawcett High School, where it's like, just call it Fawcett City. Like, because the DC stuff notoriously is not set in real cities, right?
Right.
Gotham looks like Chicago. Metropolis looks like New York.
Right.
Central City looks like on the coast of California. I mean, if you want to set this in Philadelphia, that's fine.
That's not central.
That's maybe Central California.
I always thought Central City was supposed to be in the Midwest.
Yeah, I thought it was like Kansas City or something.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Coast City. Coast City.
Okay.
So you're absolutely right. Central City would be somewhere in the Midwest. Coast City would be on the coast of California.
Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah, right. With the airplanes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Central Coast City, California.
Central. Right.
We don't have airplanes in the Midwest yet.
No. We're pretty far back. Star City is in the Pacific
It's
Northwest.
in Mars.
That's right. That's
Tom
where
had
it
to
is.
take a horse and buggy all the way to the coast just to get a flight.
Just to catch a plane.
He Oregon trailed it. Unfortunately, we
I
lost
got dysentery.
Tom got. That's why he's so skinny. Is Tom got dysentery? But when you set it in Philadelphia and you make Philadelphia a central point of this movie, it kind of negates all of the other cities around it, right? Like, just call it Fawcett City and have it look like Philadelphia.
It's weird. It's that thing again where it's like some stuff is real world stuff, some stuff is made up stuff. It is weird. But anyway, back to the plot just to breeze through it. The wizard's still alive, we find out. He gets disintegrated in the first one, but really his essence just transposes to
Mogrified.
Yes, somehow survives and goes to this other realm where they imprison him. Our villains of this movie imprison him, and they're like, now that you took our powers away, like, I don't get the whole thing. I don't get why he's not dead. I don't get why he's back. So when you have these powers, you die, but you don't die. Like, they did a really bad job of explaining how that works. I just think because he doesn't have the powers anymore, right?
They did a bad job, Kevin. You could leave it at that.
Yeah, so it doesn't really make sense, but he's still alive, so you get moments between when they end up capturing Freddy and they want to use him to ransom the powers, so Helen Mirren's like, give us the Shazam powers back and we'll give you Freddy. So he gets some moments with the wizard in the jail cell.
Not bad. I don't think those were terrible.
No, I mean, they're fine, but Rachel Zegler is, again, not cool with this. She knows that once they get what they want, that Lucy Liu especially is going to go destroy everything, so she breaks them out. Meanwhile, people are just trying to figure out how to get Freddy back and all that. And that's pretty much it. Once Lucy Liu gets what she wants, which is
she gets the staff and she's got the apple.
Helen Mirren steals the apple.
Life, yeah.
That's what it is. So they fight Helen Mirren, and they end up bringing her right to the doorway that leads her to their lair, which has this golden apple, Chekhov's golden apple they showed earlier. And then so she walks right in and steals it, and that's what she needs because that has the seed of her Atlas or whatever.
The seed of life.
Yeah, so they're going to be able to plant that, and that's supposed to revitalize their home world. But Lucy Liu actually wants to take it and plant it in Earth, which when you plant that in the soil of Earth, it's demons, it's ogres and monsters.
Yeah, it's all of them. It's harpies and ogres and
unicorns.
Unicorns. Which I do kind of. The one kind of gag where I do like is the wizard's like, these things are bad.
I like that idea of saying I did like that. Unicorns are not
the things that you think of unicorns are like your earthly versions of them.
Yeah.
They are awful things.
Yeah.
But then we get the taste the rainbow line.
Yeah, and then they endear them, with Skittles.
Skittles, the closest thing to ambrosia we have. I was like, I don't think that's right.
That was weird too, because first of all, I'm like, I don't know what ambrosia is, but I'm like,
ambrosia
Skittles?
it's like marshmallows and.
That's what we call it.
That's
but
true. Yeah, right.
In Greek mythology, it's supposed to be like the best tasting thing in the history of universe.
Oh, okay.
The gods would basically do anything for it because it was so delicious.
I see. So it's kind of generic where you could apply it
in the Midwest. It's marshmallows and canned mixed fruit.
I see. Okay, got it. So, and throughout the story, we should say the kids are losing their powers. So Lucy she's got the staff now, and every time she runs into one of the Shazam family, she zaps them with it. It takes their powers. So we're working with only a few of the heroes with their powers left. She's stealing it one by one to where Shazam's the only one left, and she plants the apple in the middle of Philadelphia Flyer Stadium, whatever that is.
Phillies. It's the Phillies. The Flyers is the hockey team.
Oh, okay. She's Philadelphia Phillies baseball stadium, whatever that one is. Sorry, Philly crew. And the thing is, all these monsters are out. The other thing, too, is I was like, I didn't read a lot of Shazam comic books, but when the monsters started appearing, I'm like, is Shazam a monster comic book? Because he did that in the last one, too.
No, it's not a monster comic book, but there are plenty of stories where he has to deal with the Greek gods.
Yeah.
And, those monsters do show up a lot in Greek mythology.
Remember in the first one with the boardroom and it was really scary monster scenes?
But those were the 7 deadly sins.
Okay. But these monsters were like dark and creepy too, to where I know David F. Sandberg's a horror guy. Do we really have to go to the monster creepy realm again?
Sure.
I don't know. It just felt a little bit like, okay, we're doing the monster thing again. But they're hatching, they're destroying the world, and Helen Mirren is going to stop this because she thinks Lucy Liu's going too far. Oh, there's a dragon, by the way. They let the dragon...
Also, they killed Diedrich Bader for no reason.
Right. Yeah, that I was kind of like, man, and Freddie thought the same thing. He's like, "What the hell? What was that for?"
Yeah, I did the line where I forgot how they pop.
Yeah, they had him. They have one of their powers is to whisper in their ears, whisper sweet nothings that hypnotize them, and he walks off a roof. Yeah. Anyway,
I was really surprised they left him dead. I thought for sure that they were gonna
bring him back.
You hear it though, man.
You do,
yeah. The last thing when they're chasing the kids and everything is she lets the dragon out that they've been talking about, and we get a glimpse of it when Freddy and Wizard get in the pit. And so Lucy Liu's riding this horrible CG dragon.
I don't think the dragon looked bad. She looked bad on the dragon. It's
an okay design, but that's what I mean. It's a horrible flight sequence with her on the dragon, but she lets it out and they're flying around with it. And when Helen Mirren is like, okay, this is
Can't
enough.
Whip your dragon out.
Yeah, you can't PG-13. We can't do that. She's like, okay, this is enough. We were going to revitalize our home world, not destroy Earth. And Lucy Liu has the dragon like spirit with its tail right through her chest. This is another dumb thing, though. Like, it kills her. She's good as dead. But then later, Zachary Levi shows up and is like, oh, hey, electricity will heal your heart, which has a hole through it, right? Like it just
a hole through the middle of your chest from your front to your back.
I mean, she was.
Yeah, they didn't kill her with high cholesterol.
She's laying there dead because the thing speared her through her chest, through her heart, and she's laying there dead. And the whole part of that movie, and then he comes and shocks her, and she wakes
twice.
up, and she's alive just long enough, and it's a good amount of time, just long enough to then take the shield and
shrink the bubble down to where it just surrounds the stadium.
They trap it around a good amount of where there's people at risk and all this, and they clear the place, and then they shrink it down. Shazam convinces her, like, hey, this one last thing we need you to do, and she condenses it just around the dragon, Shazam, and Lucy Liu.
And the tree, yeah.
And the tree, which is in Philly Fanatic Flyer Lane, whatever we call that place.
Yeah, we'll go with that. You know, they have football team there too.
And so this is the big sacrifice we talked about. Shazam.
And this isn't bad. Like I think this
Star Trek
scene,
2.
Yes, the Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, where it's like the needs of the many.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and I didn't mind the sequence. I liked seeing him as a hero. Punching a dragon.
The imagery is pretty cool. This was the most like Snydery, comic booky, his style when it's all dark and the Shazam, the lightning bolts lighting up and he's floating up. It's very much like you saw in Black Adam, which had the same kind of faux Snyder imagery. It was a cool comic book sequence. I thought it looked neat.
I thought this was fine. And then, he punches the dragon. He charges the staff with enough Shazam power, stabs the dragon, and then they Thanos the entire thing. Everything turns to dust. And I was like, bro, it's the number 2 grossing movie of all time. You cannot have your end sequence have all of your bad guys turn to dust. It's like, come on, man.
Like, when the big bad dies, her power then takes all the ogres, all the ponies, everything.
All the bad guys turn to dust. Or feather, or leaves, whatever.
Leaves, right?
Yeah,
but
it doesn't matter.
You're right. It's the same thing though. Where
yeah, and then Billy is dead. They bury Billy. I don't know where. I guess they're in the magic realm.
Rachel Zegler's like he died. He was a true god, or one of them says he was a true god. He deserves to be buried like a god. So they take him to wherever Atlasville is, wherever these ones are from, and they bury him there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Mount Olympus. Is that what
I
you're
don't think it is?
I
guess
don't
it
think
could be.
I don't know. I don't think it's Mount Olympus.
Wouldn't you just call it that then? It's not like there's a copyright on Mount Olympus. Either way. And then they're like, isn't there a god? There are no gods left. And of course, we hear a voice in the background that says there is one. And we get the Wonder Woman theme. And then there's Gal Gadot, who does not want to be there.
I think this is a cool moment in theory. It was not well executed. No. But I do agree that all's lost. Your hero's dead. And there's no more gods left, and she shows up, and we like her from her first movie. She's cool, and
I do like that you preface that by her first movie, not everything else.
You caught that? Okay. Yeah. And it's a cool moment in theory, right? But it's just the way it was filmed, and you could tell it was.
But also, it gives you the opportunity. You don't have to bring Billy back. You could say Wonder Woman reignites the staff. Billy's not coming back, and given the interactions that the Wizard has had with Freddy. He looks at Freddy and says, "You are the new champion."
You're right. That's the thing. Just because the staff is repaired does not mean... I mean, he's dead, and they're reanimating him. If they have the power to reanimate people, well, why don't they bring back Helen Mirren? And
but also, why does he come? Why does he come back as Shazam?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he come back as Billy?
He died as Bill. I guess because the staff used the power to transform him.
Okay.
They gave him the Shazam power, I guess. But
do you think this will be a way to have him always be Shazam?
I wonder if
I didn't think about that and not change back into Billy.
Yeah,
because if he changed back into Billy, Billy dies. Billy's like he's like the who? God dang it! What was the? He's Jack from American Werewolf in London, where he's just every time he turns back into Billy, he's just a rotting corpse.
Yeah.
But yeah, because some time had passed. I'm guessing they didn't go overnight to Atlasville. So I don't know. That is weird. Like, he's been dead. I just think it's a very strange. One, I think it was very cheap, and two, I do think the logistics of it it's a comic book world, but they brought him back from the dead. That just seems. I don't know. I mean, I know they do it with Superman. I know it happens, but
Superman. Okay, now wait.
But he comes back messed up, right?
But also in the comics, they say that he never really died.
Oh yeah,
he was
low heartbeat, low heart rate.
Yeah, right. So he comes back. Everything's back to normal. The second end post credit sequence is what's his name? The Dr. Savina from the first movie, the bad guy from the first movie.
Mark Strong.
Remember.
Mark Strong. Mark Strong is back in his cell. He has another interaction with Mr. Mind, the little worm.
Oh, Mark Strong's alive in this too?
Yeah. He was alive at the end of one. Remember, he's in the cell with the little worm, Mr. Mind, and they talk to each other.
Oh,
and then there's a little. That's the joke. Is there's a little joke. He's like, I've been here for 2 years, and he's like, I'm a worm. It takes me forever. I don't have wings. I can't fly. I have to squirm everywhere. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, one more thing, and he squirms away. Mark Strong's like, no, and that's how it ends. That was It was like a really weird, jokey post credit sequence that wasn't very funny.
Well, that fits
because those are two kind of integral Captain Marvel villains.
Gotcha.
Mr. Mine and Dr. Savina are two, like, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, this movie was a swing and a miss. It does not make me hopeful for Aquaman 2, which was just getting, I mean, it's getting, there's rumors that it's real bad.
They delayed it so much.
But who knows at this point? Getting the stamp of approval from The Flash from Tom Cruise can off for all I care.
That's the only one I have any curiosity left for. I mean, I'll see
I agree.
Aquaman. The first one's fun, but like at this point, knowing that everything's changing, and I guess now some stuff can hang around, but it just feels like we're delaying the inevitable. You know, these movies are releasing because they were already in the can. They're going to tweak them a little, but
But of all the movies that they've canned and just ate the budget on, why do they
put
feel
out
like
Aquaman?
these have to come out?
I think the
I feel like the
potential's too
Flash.
high.
I think the Flash has to come out.
Scooby-Doo is not going to make $1 billion. Aquaman makes $1 billion. The Flash, if this thing is good and as good as they all say it is, that could make $1.5 billion. Like they can't scrap that, but the little stuff.
They could have scrapped this.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree.
So,
okay,
It's a shame.
Well, I guess it is, and I really feel like
on my birthday, no less.
As mediocre as this film is, I feel like if Zachary Levi had been better, it would have been good enough. And
I feel like he really phoned this one in.
Big time.
I don't know what he was doing. I don't even feel like, because it doesn't feel like a lazy performance. It just feels like a really miscalculated one. Like,
that's fair.
It feels like he was busy doing Kurt Warner movies and like just read the pages in between break time or something. Like it just felt like he didn't understand what this movie was doing because his performance doesn't match what it feels like they're trying to do with the story. Right? It felt like he showed up, stayed in his trailer as much as possible, showed up when he had to, left. You know, to me, it just feels like he wasn't in it. Like his heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Nope.
It shouldn't be called Shazam: Fury of the Gods. It should be called Shazam: Contractual Obligation. So, well, anyway, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the virtual table and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21. You can also follow me on Letterboxd if you so choose at the same name, JoeyButts, BUTTS21.
Fancy. This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin R. Brackett.
And this is Tom. You can follow me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget our Patreon at patreon.com/Real Spoilers. And of course, you can watch all of these at YouTube. So go give that a check out. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Josh reunites with Billy.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot.